Set in a future Africa imagined by African creators, Relooted follows a crew of scientists, programmers, and fighters working to return stolen, historically accurate African artifacts from fictional Western museums. While the museums have been created for the game, the artifacts and their stories are real.
Trip to London with my parents, and I went to some game design meetup. My parents went to the British Museum, and we met up in the evening, and my mother was sort of like fueled by rage because she has just seen something called the Nerad Monument, which is basically a building, an ancient Lycian tomb from the south of Turkey that they had moved brick by brick a few thousand kilometers and then reconstructed inside the British Museum. And she was sort of just stunned by the audacity of stealing a building. And so she very flippantly said to me, "Oh, you should make a game about getting this back to where it belongs," which has been a conversation on the continent for a very long time, restitution of African artifacts. So that was kind of the core moment the idea came to me.
Rather than placing the story in a fantasy setting, the developers chose something more deliberate.
But African futurism is about real places, real people set in the future. So being able to make a game that has real places in Johannesburg and in Africa and imagining them in the future turns it from a fantasy into a vision. It allows people who play it or engage with the game to imagine that a utopian African future might actually be possible.
The artifacts featured in the game were selected for their emotional weight and historical significance. In total, players encounter around 70 objects, each tied to stories of loss, violence, and displacement in Africa.
The focus was on what would be evocative and what would be something that would, resonate with people. She has a phrase which is, think of the Queen's, not the Queen's teacup, but the Queen's throne. So if you had to tell someone, oh, they took the Queen's teacup, so it would be like, oh, okay, like kind of like a petty thing. But if you said they took the Queen's throne, that's something which, no matter where you are, that's something which you'd be like, that's pretty egregious. You'll be really surprised with some of the stories. Some stories are so interesting, some are macabre, some are shocking, and some are also hopeful in a sense. So yeah, take some time to learn about what the game can teach you.
The developers insist this is more than entertainment. At its core, the game tackles questions of restitution, cultural ownership, and historical legacy. With more than 60% of Africa's population under the age of 25, its creators hope Relooted will serve as a tool for younger audiences to engage with that debate, encouraging them to learn, question, and reflect on the continent's past. As the game launches globally, the team say they hope its success will help open doors for a new generation of African developers, telling their own stories through technology built at home.